Hello Tubesters, it's Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're looking at the Sherman, so that's the Tamiya 1 in 35 scale M4A3, I believe. I can never get all the numbers bits. But yeah, finally got some more progress on her. Done some, what have we done, Gav? Oh, done the tracks, yeah, as in weathered them. Had about 4, maybe even 5 of the guide horns come off the sides. The thing is with these Bronco tracks, and fair enough, I'm not the world's greatest builder, but it's just the attachment points aren't massive. So even though I've welded them on, and I use the hot glue, they still, when I was dry brushing, and I was dry brushing gently, I still managed to flick a load of guide horns off, and I've had to put super glue on them in the end, so I'm hoping that they move around okay. I've not attached them to the tank yet, that's going to be tonight or tomorrow night. But what else have I got done? I can't even remember what I did in the last video. I'm following, as I say, my book from Adam Wilder. That's his number 2. So I'm more or less just following the stages, give or take. Obviously some of it's not covered by what I'm doing, but I've been putting some weather streaks down, which I'll show you in a minute, like water that's got the dust on it and down. I haven't put any wet weather streaks, which I probably will do a couple of in and around the vehicle, but after I'd done all that, I hadn't attached the wheels to it at the time, and I wanted to so I can get the proper picture of it, get those done with at least with the wheels on. So I'll put a bit of satin varnish in, some paint, I think, in some acrylic paint, and just do a couple of wet weather type streaks. Apart from that, as I say, I'd used oil paint on the wooden parts of the Pioneer tools. I haven't put any metal finish, as in a pencil or anything, over any of the metal Pioneer tools yet. Same goes for the tracks. I'll do that right at the very end, and other tiny bits that I might want to show up on the vehicle itself. But I'm really, I'll go as well. I don't know how the tracks are going to actually hold up when I bend them around. I'm dreading, what I'm like with tracks. I'm dreading it. But hey, in for a penny, in for a pound, as we say over here. So yeah, I'll just put them on either tonight or tomorrow night and just hope for the best. Because I can't do the rest of it. I've done some speckling, mud speckles, and as I say, some of the dusted on rain marks. But I've not done any thicker mud, which I will be putting on. I mean, it's not going to be absolute glutinous, but it's in winter time, so it's got to, or towards the end of winter, so there's got to be a fair bit of mud around. So I'll be putting that in, and that's about it to actually face the camera. Hope everything's gone well with you over the Christmas holiday. That you managed to get a few gifts that you've always wanted. I've not gone down any modelling type gifts. I've said I've got at least 3 kits, tank wise, or they're not always tanks, but 3 1 in 35 scales that I want to get out my stash this year and do. I've also got a couple of 3 1 in 72 3 1 in 72 scale aircraft, and I'm determined to get that I love the Starfighter, and I'm not letting it beat me just because I had a mind block on it. So I've got a couple of 1 in 72s that I want to build after this tank. So it'll be Joe sent me, it's all people sending me stuff. Joe sent me the MiG, Jen sent me Mosquito, the Airfix, the new one. So that's going to be built as well, and then a 1 in 35 scale, another 1 in 35 scale vehicle of some description. I will say, because I've got a Katusha, Grad. Katusha's the old style, but I've got a Grad launcher, the Zvezda one that I had right at the start of the beginning of whatever lockdowns we've had in the UK. We'll say start of COVID. I've got a plan to do that and an idea of what I wanted to do with it. So that might come after that, and that'll be another one out of the stash. And I did buy that one myself. I'm just about to say I've got another one that Frederick sent me. I haven't forgotten the BV Frederick, but there was a particular thing I wanted to do with it, and it's just time at the moment. What I'm having problem with at the moment is I'm taking way too much on, and this isn't anything to do with commissions. The commissions are separate. This is what I do in the odd hour that I get off, because these models I'll be commission painting in the evening, and I won't touch a model at all, or my own figure painting. I won't touch either of those, and I'll just carry on commission painting, till, I don't know, 11:30, 12 at night, whatever it is, 10, 11 o'clock. And then other times, a day or so, I might work on HMS Kent for an hour or two at the end of the night, or I might do my Sherman. So that's why my modelling side of it just takes, and my own figure painting just takes a while, because there's just only so much time in the day. But I said to my wife, I've got to not want to do so much, because I'm getting, and this, as I say, this is not to do with the commission side of it. It's just my own side of it. I don't seem to get what I want doing. The problem for me is I paint figures for a living. I paint my own figures. And most of the time, as you know, a lot of the time I'll sell them on or give them away, whatever, but I paint my own figures and I do my scale modelling. So I don't mind my models taking ages. If it take this Sherman, if it took me 3 months to do it, takes me 3 months. That's the idea is you just enjoy what you're doing. It doesn't matter how many you build, just enjoy what you're doing. And this one, when I took it out of the box, and I had to look at it out of the box, but when I started building it, and I realised, because it's one of the older ones that it's all open underneath, and I had to put the plastic card in, I was going, oh no, this is not going well. But once I'd done that, it's been a really nice build. The Sherman isn't my thing particularly. You know what I mean? I'll always praise the guys and gals that built them, guys and gals that crewed them, or guys that crewed them. I still believe the Chilean army still might be using some still. It's come a long way. It's just for armour. It's not particularly something that's floating my boat, and that's not because I'm a lover of German armour or even Soviet armour. As I've said to you guys before, a lot of the times I like the engineering type vehicles or something just a bit different. Anyway, Gaz waffling. I think that's what I had to say to you on this one. Yep. Let's go down to the bench and take a look. Right, Tubesters, thanks for joining me at the bench. As usual, Gav doesn't have a pointy stick. Well, this one will do. Right, shall we go from this is where everything falls off. This is what I've done on the side so far. Can we get a bit close, Gav? I only stuck the wheels on last night. Yes, good. Expecting them all to fall off. As you probably remember, if you haven't skipped the videos, that is, I wanted to put, obviously there's a lot of residue whitewash on. It's coming towards the end of the snowy period, I suppose, or it's just all fallen off. You can take your pick. But what I also wanted to do was put it on the wheels. I'd seen a lot of tanks without them, where the crew would obviously saying, well, what's the point in doing that? Nobody's going to see that. They're going to see all this, especially on the Sherman, all the big top piece. So I'd left it off, but then this came up really nice, as in the original removing the whitewash, and I just thought it's now going to look a bit off. But by the time I've done some road filth up the side of the hull, the lower hull, I've really not gone to town underneath. There is obviously mud flicks on there, but you're not going to see a lot of it, to be honest. But there will be more mud put in, I presume, depending if I can get around the tracks or not. So I've put some whitewash on these with a brush, only in the deepest recesses, as if that's, you know, like on the Sherman, it's set on the main Sherman, you know, it's where it's clung to in the creases of the different castings. So I did that, and what Adam Wilder suggests is you put a fine base coat, not whole coat, but when you're doing streaking, put a base underneath it and then put your streaks on top. And that's what I've done there, and in between the wheels and slightly on the wheels where I could. So, you know, I mean, I don't think it's looking too bad. I've put about 3 types of, I put some fine sand that I use for basing the War Game soldiers, and I put some talcum powder in. It did say using pigments, and I just thought, well, that's a waste of pigments really. I'll try this talcum powder that I use for the CA glue I keep in a jar, and I mixed that in as well, and it thickened up the paint nicely. He suggests use plaster of Paris, and I have got that, but I had to get it, you know, what it's like, you have to dig 101 things out the back of the cupboard to get to it, and I thought, oh no, I'll try this talcum powder. I think it's worked good enough for me. I've put about 3 different browns on there to show different stages of mud, but there will be more mud being put in some of the, you know, some of the crevices is the word I'm after, of where it's got jammed into the casting block. So that's the side. That's our painted on number, and to be honest with you, by the time I'd flicked and put stains on, and I've also put some chips where the white has come away from the background green colour. So I think that's all looking really, I'm hoping not over dingy, and I've tried to do it in gradients, so obviously the more speckles are down here and on this lower edge, and then I've done some going up and over the tank as well, just to add a bit more texture to it. As I think it's Night Shift that says it's all about the texture. I should have my gloves on ready for holding this at the moment. I believe you're still going to see some of the carrier film on these. I was disappointed that I should have just cut the carrier film off everything else, but was a bit too scared to do it around such tiny letters. But with all the different staining I've been putting on and the flicking on and everything, I'll be putting some exhaust staining on this grill as well. Just about unfortunately for me, the exhausts were an afterthought, as in I'd already stuck them on because I needed to stick everything else on, where a lot of the times you'll obviously stick them on last when you'll weather them off the tank, and I wish I'd done that now, but again, it's a learning curve. So that's that, and obviously I've done a load of chipping and stuff, but without doing a load of chipping, if that makes sense. Let's go back down, let's put it down there so I've got my hands all over it. Let's see if we can go in a bit more. As I say, I'll be putting some metal finishing on the edges just to give it a metallized look with a pencil, but again, not till the end. I've got a load of, and there'll be a load of stowage to go on the back, so a lot of this you won't actually see. But I'm still working on the stowage. It really will be the last bit. I didn't want to overly rust up the tracks. These are the metal track versions rather than the rubberized ones. So I didn't want to go over the top, but I've put rain streaks down them, and there might be the odd bit of mud that's flicked up and wedged in places. I haven't done any fuel stains or anything yet, and things like that. Anything else? Again, I've just put where he says put a bit of paint down. Now he said use an airbrush. What I was doing, I found, again, you find your own way sometimes. I was sometimes being heavy-handed with the spray of the airbrush to put a base down before you put your streaking on. But what I found was if you keep a wet brush at the side of you, and then you can, even though it's acrylic and this is on a satin surface, it will still move around, and you can either remove more or or you know, you know, move it to where you want it to go, really. So that worked quite well. Some of the airbrush work I did fine with the base road filth, and then others, as I say, I had to mooch around a bit with a brush. But what I'm trying to say is, I reckon you could get away with putting it on with a brush if you wanted to. So what else have we got? Obviously, I've got no 50 cals or whip antennas or anything on there yet. There's no glazing in. I like how the front of the tank's coming on. As I say, glazing's still got to be added yet. Hope I can add it. I'm in trouble if I can't. Yeah, but I like how it's all come together around the mantlet. You know, it's I did the guns with oils into the screw heads here. I've got some rain marks, if you want to call them that, but you know, just general crud that's come down the front of the turret, and then down the sides where hopefully the rain would normally go. Yeah, I think it's coming up quite well. I'm really pleased with it. I'd say it's probably my best effort, I think, in painting and weathering wise. I mean, fair enough. The whitewash was a bit of a lucky experience, because I was going to remove a lot more, and because of the texture I'd put over everything, it didn't want to go. But it really has all started to merge in with each other without overpowering each other, if that makes sense. So I put some oils around the different cupolas, and anything that grime would be around. But again, I didn't want to overdo it, and what I wanted to veer away from was doing too much rust. I just thought, I can't see there being a lot of rust. Loads of these tanks were knocked out or replacement tanks, and yes, they've come over on a boat, which is why they said, the Americans decided to build a lot of Shermans rather than a load of super heavy tanks, aka the Tiger or the Joseph Stalin. A lot of it was down to shipping. They could ship a lot more of these on a merchant ship than they could, super heavy tanks or heavy tanks. So yeah, I could see them getting a bit rusty, but then I could also see them, if they had to, getting resprayed or brush painted, I would imagine, at some storage facility before they got handed out. So I didn't want to do overly too much rust. As I say, this is more just wear and tear grime. Again, I've gone on you can see the yellow eyes road filth, as I call it, and that's to put the streaking down. I've put more streak, like this one doesn't. I'd purposely put a lighter streak where you can hardly tell, and that side's a lot heavier. Same down on the mantlet. Let's get, not mantlet, the front anyway of the tank. As I say, I can't remember if I've just said, but the machine guns have just got a base coat on, just to say they've got something on. They've got a lot to go on those yet. But yeah, overall, I mean, this is all going to be full up of stowage at the front as well. I just think it's come up fairly well. It's gone past my expectations anyway. That's what the word I was after. So guys, I've got to show you the tracks, haven't I? Let's just put our Sherman. I keep humming different Glenn Miller tunes every time I put the Sherman down on the desk. Right, these are me tracks. There's still flex in them. I'll gingerly move them in case they'll fall apart. So what I've done with these, sprayed them black. Let's get down so you can see them. Sprayed them black. Then I put a dry brush of AK's canvas over them, especially in the corners of rather than middle, that would get rolled, where the wheels will be, the rubber wheels will be on them. I then put the orange brown for just a build up of rust again, I know that the rust isn't always apparent, but I was looking at different pictures and I thought, yeah, that's what I'm going to go for. Then I put, was it London Grey? It might have been London Grey. I dry brushed London Grey in the centres and on some of the guide horns as well.
and that was to be the basis for then to go over with a pencil. I've not overly shined these up. You can't, well, you can see them there. Sometimes I'll polish them up to a gloss, but I just didn't. The pictures I managed to see in colour of Sherman's, you know, like, and they're all the ones that are at shows and stuff. It seemed to be roughly a bit like that, really, where there is some, obviously, steel, because these are steel ones rather than rubber tracks. Yeah, that's enough for me. Let's just turn them over. There will be obviously mud going in these cleats of the tracks as well. Again, if it looks like I've gone over the top, not over the top, sorry, but literally over the top of the raised areas with the pencil, it's not. I believe it's just where I put the grey, because I decided I didn't want to put too much graphite and then touching them and then touching the tank, and then I'd, you know, graphite, even with rubber gloves, I'll have graphite smudge marks everywhere. So yeah. But there will be some obviously shiny bits on those when I decide where they're going to be when they've been put around the tank. You can see I've got bits of guide horn that are sticking up all over the shop. As I say, it wasn't a great experience, but that I've got them together, and you know, let's just fingers crossed that they'll go around the tank okay and they'll join up. I think they will. So yeah, there we go. So let's just get our tank back on. I shouldn't really be handing out without gloves really, but there's our 1 in 35 scale Sherman. It was gifted to me by Victor at Vic's Miniatures, and it's being built as a tribute to him and his channel, because he's a really decent fella. Yeah, I know that's not what his neighbours say, but so I hope everything's going well with you. As I say, you've got some time to get on with any projects that you fancy doing, whether it's model building or figure painting. Coming up, I'm going to be basing some 10mm later on. No, I'm not. I'm going to be basing some 6mm later on to do a review for Grumbler Miniatures. What else? Oh, the colours will be on the 18mm Chasseur Rapide de the Guard commission I'm painting at the moment. So you'll see 4 battalions of those up in the next couple of days. What else have we got? Have we got anything else we have to show or talk about? I haven't got any particular. I've got a couple of things that I'll be getting in to show you with my Christmas money, but I haven't actually bought those yet. And I think that's about it. I think I've covered everything. Oh, we've got the finally got the 4 30-year war mounted figures. They'll be having a video at some stage in the next 5 to 6 days, when I don't want to flood you with videos, so that they'll be up and you can have a look at those. And I think that's it. I did prime up some of those Lord of the Rings figures, not necessarily to prime, only I was doing priming work with some other stuff, and I just thought, well, the night before I cleaned up Gandalf, Boromir, and one of the hobbits, I think it's Peregrine, and you know, if I get a chance to paint them, I do, and if I don't, I don't. You know, as I say, I'm getting a bit silly with what I'm taking on at the moment. So they're just, at least if they're done primed, I've got them there in the background, you know, in a box ready to do if I want to do them. I haven't got much further forward with this guy here. Not particularly happy. I must have repainted this fella about 4 times. It's only base coats on the webbing and everything, but yeah, I've not been too happy with him, and I've been struggling getting the motivation to try and, after about the 3rd attempt at doing his clothing, but we'll get there. So yeah, that's it. So look after yourselves, and Gav will be around, I'm quite sure, with the video in the next few days. Look after yourselves.